Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about drawing the nose. The nose is actually pretty easy to draw, but actually really hard to understand how that happens. So what I'm going to do is outline the shape of the nose. You've got the nostrils, the side of the nostrils. You have the nostrils themselves. You also have the tip of the nose. Of course, you have the nostrils and this part of the nose that connects the nostrils. The tip of the nose is where the nose points out the most. In everybody, no matter how pointy your nose is, this area of the nose is always going to be the lightest part of the nose. So I've outlined the basic shape of it, and we'll just do a little bit of the bridge just to give you a better idea how that goes. Okay. And that's what it looks like. Super strange. I know. What happens with the nostrils is that they're connected. It's kind of like a ram's head a little bit. So it's this kind of curvy line that mirrors itself. And that's where it's darker at the very top. And then it gets lighter as you go down. Because the nostrils aren't just black holes. They go from dark at the top to lighter as you go down and fade. And then you gotta really pay attention to this area of the nose as well. It's darker in here, and then it's darker just underneath, and there's some reflected light that happens here and here. Again, this is the tip of the nose, and that is the lightest part. There's not a lot of contrast to this nose in the photo, but if there was more contrast, which would be nice, this would be a little darker on this side of the bridge, and that would be a little darker on that side of the bridge. Here's the bridge lines right there. Your nose starts in between your eyes. That's where it starts. The nostrils right here. And that's what they look like right there. So I'm going to put that up there. I'm going to try to do that. As with anything that you draw, you can always measure things out just as a guide. Right now I'm going to take an extra piece of scrap paper, make a mark on either side of the wing of the nostril, like that. And then I'll put a little mark, bring it down and put a little mark for the middle of the tip, underneath the tip of the nose right there. So that is really good to do if you are going to start and you're not sure if you're going to make the size correct. So put a little dot there. A little dot right there. So that's how big this ends up needing to be. Okay? If you have a piece of tracing paper or even a piece of clear plastic sheet or something like this is a transparency, it can help you to outline. This goes for the eyes or the lips or any part of the face. Outline it and take it away to see the basic shape of your lines first. So this is the tip of the nose down here, or under the tip. Then I'm trying to make this curvature happen. Kind of looks like a paper clip if you were to unfold the paper clip. Oops, I made this a little big already because I wasn't thinking about the fact that those dots on the outside are the exterior of the nose, the edges of the nostrils, not the inside of the nostrils. So I was about to make it super big. So what I can do, my little measuring guide here, is to just put a couple more dots in. Put a dot for the put a dot in for this part right here as well. So I got ahead of myself right there. I made the The wings of the nostrils are a little too flary. So I'll start here, go up to that little mark that I made for that wing. Down in the valley there, and up the other side of the mountain. Other side of the valley here. Let's just see how I did. So I think something's off right now. I think the right side's a little off. It's not that bad. It's just a little too long on the right. And I also need to dip down this line a little bit more here, because it's not mirrored perfectly with the other side. So I'll dip that down first, like that, and then I'll probably just bring this in. Erase a little bit right there. Let's see if that's more like it. Yep, there we go. Right now, I'll just kind of put the edges of the nostrils in right now. This is the tip of the nostril. Inside of the nostril up here, very top. That's the darkest part, and then it skips over. Some people end up drawing the sides of the nostrils, the wing of the nostril, the side of the wing, and bring it underneath a little bit too much. But that's not true. It doesn't kind of wrap around with your line at all. There's some shading under there though. So I'm just gonna take this curve and just leave it right there. I'm gonna fix this side. I'm not gonna bring it in too much. So that's basically how you lay out the shape first. I'm going to put a circle right here because I need to remember that this area is the lightest area on the nose. I'm going to start shading. I know we all want to get into those nostrils and get those dark right away, but resist the urge quite yet. And just take your HB and kind of fill in that nostril, but don't do it super dark first. Don't take out that 6B. You don't want to go too dark too soon. It's very tempting, but as black as those nostrils might seem, it's only really dark at the top of the nostril. Well, the inside of the nostril. In the photo here, I've got a shadow underneath right where my pencil is. And then I have a light area and another light area right here and here. So there's some reflected light. Then it gets shadowy again right here. There's also shadow right here. In fact, I'm going to outline on this nose where I see shadow. You might not be able to see that well on the video, but I know it's there. That's kind of where the shadow is in here. This is the lightest part. Now this photo the contrast isn't really that high, so I always try to find a photo that has a little bit better contrast, more dramatic lighting, more dark. Take a look and make sure that you haven't made things too pointy. So right now, this nostril shape curves nice and slow over and it goes down. And mine goes up and then it keeps going up over here. So I really don't want this to be that shape. So I'll bring this down just a little bit. I'll just adjust it like that. I might do the same thing over here a little bit. I'm going to start to shade underneath here. and connect it over there. And then I'm going to shade from here up, and create by shading underneath and then into bottom of the tip of the nose. I will recreate those light spaces that are reflected light right here and here. Right now I'm using an HB. I probably will mix it up a little bit more in a moment. I'm just putting an all over medium gray everywhere before I start adding layers to what I'm doing. And that's what drawing with pencil, graphite pencil is all about, is layers. I should really start with my lightest pencil right now and fill everything in, but I did kind of skip ahead to the medium grays. So in this area right here, this is the edge of the inside of the nostril, which is really like right there. There is more gray that happens from here to there, more shadow. Okay, so I want to fill that in first, because there isn't a light area. It's not all light right here. It's a light between here and here, but it's not light in here. From here to here it's light, and then it's not. I'm going to fuzz away that line that I made, this little awkward line on the side. By fuzzing, I just mean that I'm basically going lightly over the top of it. I can also use my eraser pen if it doesn't, if it still kind of shows up, which I don't want it to show up because it doesn't exist. It's not an outline. There's no outlines on your face. Your face is made up of dark areas and light areas. And where the dark area and the light area meet each other, that's where it seems as if there is a line, but there is not a line. Okay, so I did a little fuzzing over here for now. I'm gonna have to go a little darker later. I'm gonna do the same thing over here. Now is the time where I might speed things up on the camera, because I'm going to fill in with a lighter pencil the skin tone that's around the nose right here and there, pretty much everywhere. I'm going to take my 3H pencil. Yeah, I'll take my 3H pencil and do that. I can use the side of my pencil. Remember, when you're shading, you need to be patient and take your time. You're going to want to feel like you're going to do this and fill it in really quickly, and it's going to happen just as if you were to use a marker and go back and forth and then go back and forth and go back and forth, and it becomes one color. That's not going to happen with your pencil. Your pencil, you need to take time with your shading, and you can't go too fast in order to make an even shade, an even value. Now when you start to add that lighter value in for all over the nose, because really the only thing that's super white is going to be the very tip of the nose and part of the bridge of the nose. So yes, you are going to shade and give the nose an entire value. So when you're doing that, you need to always shade with the shape of the nose itself. So I'm not going to shade straight across like this, because that will flatten everything. If you were shading the side of a box, you would definitely do that. But in order to make this nose look like it's three-dimensional, even with this fine layer of the lighter shade, the lightest shade, you still have to move your pencil with the shape of the nose. So I'm gonna go around like this, kind of curve underneath like this, and then round on this side. I'm gonna use a blender now. Well, I'm not gonna use a blender, but if you have a blender, you can use a blender. I don't actually have a blender. I am kind of in this small category of people who don't use blenders. So I would be doing this way slower at this point and really just using my pencil a little slower. But I am gonna use paper towel, because if you don't have a blender, you can always use paper towel to blend. So I am gonna make the lightest gray value that I've laid down. I'm gonna blend it. I'm gonna smudge it. Never ever use your fingers when you're doing this, trying to smudge. The reason why is your hands have oils always. No matter how many times you're gonna wash your hands, you're gonna have oil in your hand, in your fingers. And when you're trying to smudge a certain area, you might end up getting oil in that spot. And you won't see it actually until later when you try to shade on top of that area that has a little pocket of oil. And it'll become darker than you want it to be, that oil spot. And it won't actually erase out. So don't blend with your fingers. Take a paper towel and blend. So I did some blending of the lighter gray. And now I'm gonna go back in and bump things up. Maybe first I should finish the rest of the light gray. So we'll do that real quick and speed ahead for you. So what I'm going to do now is focus on bringing up some of the contrast. So adding some darker pencils in there. I was using a 3H, so I'm going to trade that out. Why don't we do what we've all been wanting to do, which is make a big dark area under the nostrils, or in the nostrils, but don't do it real quick. I'm going to show you how to do it. Take your 5B, make sure your pencil is sharp for this. Very, very important. When your pencil is sharp, then it will really define where it is dark, because it is very distinct. Right here is where it starts getting dark. It's like if this was a cave, that's the furthest most part of the cave. And it gets lighter as you go out. This is lighter than this. This is lighter than this, okay? The reason why is this is the front of the cave, all right? Nostril caves. So I'm gonna take my sharpened darkest pencil and I'm going to neatly outline, even though there are no lines, okay? I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna go over here. That's my darkest pressure. It's my hardest pressure, okay? At this point forwards, a little less pressure. Where I am shading right now, it can be still dark right there. But from this point downwards, it can't. You gotta ease off. So I'm going to still use my 5B pencil, but I'm gonna use less pressure. Way less pressure. I'm gonna go back to this area, because now that I bumped up the contrast in the nostril, what you'll notice is where you shaded in between, right here, is way too light now. So that's something that is going to happen over the course of your drawing when you're shading and adding values, is that once you darken one area, the area next to it looks too light. So you're not doing it wrong, you're actually doing it correctly. I'm not going to use a 5B pencil to darken that. I am probably going to take it back to a 2B. See what that looks like. If I don't like it, I'll switch it up to a B. Again, your pencils are like a variety of tools in your toolbox. There's a reason that you have so many of them. They each do something differently for you. So it also helps to kind of point at things. So I'm gonna put my pencil on the shade of gray that I need to get to, and I'll put it on the value, the shade that I have achieved so far. I'm like, meh, I don't think so. And you know why? Is because here, that light spot looks way too light right now. So I need to change that first. So I'll fill that in a little darker. And what that's going to do is make this disappear. So now I'm going to go back in and make this darker by just adding another lighter pressure layer. Again, it's all about layers of pencil. If you continue to add light pressure layers on top of each other, it will eventually get dark, but it'll happen slower and more manageable for you. I'm gonna go underneath here again and bump up that gray, make it darker. And that gray continues from here into that corner of the nostril. So from here to the corner. Take a look at the curve that happens here on the nostril and look at your curve. If it looks like it's too curvy, like right now mine's too curvy, I'm just going to take my eraser pen and just shave off a little bit. That does mean that I get rid of all that shading that I did before, but that's okay, because I need to fix this part. I need to flatten that curve out a little bit. And then I can go back in here and fill this in. And make any other corrections I might have. I'm going to start filling in the shadow in here, because it does not exist yet in my drawing. Probably use the same pencil. Nah, let's go to HB. Now is the time that you really should take your time when you're filling in the shade that you're working with, because you're working on small areas right now. You're not shading the skin. You're not shading the majority of the face. You're just doing a detail of the face. So you really should take your time. You know, it's very zen. Drawing is a very zen thing to do. You don't really have to think too much while you're doing it, and it definitely accesses a part of your brain that you don't normally get to experience, which is the calm part of your brain. The left side of your brain. What I'm going to notice as I fill in this shade of gray that needs to be darker is that this area will start getting lost, meaning it'll become almost the same gray. And what am I going to need to do? I'm going to need to bump this up again. And that's just the game. That's how it happens. There is reflected light, if you look where my pencil is right now, on the photo. It's hard to really tell, but right here along the edge of the cave, that's light. That's reflected light. So it does look lighter right here, and then it gets darker after that. So lighter here, and then it gets darker. So I'm going to jump from this dark line that I made up a little bit, leaving a lighter space, a little light strip, and I'm going to shade a little darker above that light strip. It's definitely more dramatic in my drawing, and I'll probably go back in and take a really higher H pencil, like a 4H pencil, and just blend this, fill it in. Because it's not a white strip, but it is lighter. And I see the same similar thing happening over here. It's a little darker right here. Wherever you see something, draw it. If you're seeing something, there's a reason for it. Okay? Don't doubt yourself. If you're like, I don't know, I feel like that looks weird. Yes, there's a reason for it. Okay? It's your brain, it's your trained way of seeing emerging for you. Your perception, your skills of perception are getting stronger each time you draw. So you'll start seeing things that need to be corrected. Okay, so I'm going to take my 4H pencil, just like I said a few moments ago. And I'm just going to add a little bit of lighter gray here. So that's not too obvious that I made the jump. And I probably should darken this a little bit because it looks like it's popping out too much. And over here again. And then I gotta go back in here and bump it up. So, probably I want to bump it up slowly. I don't want to make a big jump. So I'll take my B. I wouldn't just put a 6B on that spot and be like, all right, get to the dark level I need you to get to. And then all of a sudden it's way too dark. So let's try out the B. See what it does. I'm not happy with the B. I'm gonna change it up to the 3B. Press lightly with the 3B. See if that makes more of the gray that I want. Yeah, I think so. That's good for now. All right. So I'm gonna go back to my HB. I'm gonna start shading under here. As soon as I made that area darker, I have now noticed that I lost this dark area here by making this gray happen. So again, I gotta fix that. Take my 3B. Connect to that corner of the nostril. Kind of fuzz it out. I feel like this area is a little too light right now, so I'll just lightly go over it with a 3B. And this area too, go up in there. And then what you're going to notice is that I need to shade from here to there, because this is not white. So there we go. This is gonna look weird until I start shading around this area. Okay. I'll go over here. I'm on my 3B. Let's go back to HB for a second. It's going to be light in the center of the nose, and it's also going to be light on the wings of the nose. So right here and right there are also going to be light areas. So everything from where my pencil is up and around this area is going to be light. So this is what I'm talking about. When you're shading the wings of the nose, the shape of it can get kind of confusing. So I'm just right now outlining where the lightest area is on the wing of the nose. The wings. So you need to take that into consideration when you're shading, is that you need to not shade very dark here and here, but you can shade around those areas. That's why this, see this right here, that looks like there's a shadowy area, probably because the light's coming from, more light's coming from this direction, and this is actually a shadowy part, even though that's, I don't know, the light's probably come from different, I don't know, but there's some shadow right there. Okay, so I'm going to start shading going up this way, and then I'll shade around here, and shade in more over there as well, and definitely up in there. I'm going to bump up the contrast a little bit in my own drawing because it's just, the grays are too light. So this is a 4H pencil, and I'm just sort of going around where I know there needs to be darker grays. And by darker grays, I mean lighter, darker grays. I'm not in there with my 4B pencil. I'm in here with my 4H pencil, but I'm going over and over and over it a bunch of times, and it'll get to the gray that I need. As I'm sculpting the nose with my pencil, making the shape of it pop out every second that goes by. Now I'm pressing really lightly in here to kind of blend that area that I did right here. So I'm going lightly. Okay, so I've shaded most of this area again, but I've left that little part of the wing of the nose, the lightest area. I'll do the same thing with this side. So I'm going around that area that I know I shouldn't go. The borders of that little puddle of light. Like that. And then to make the puddle of light look a little less obvious, I'm just gonna go around just one more time and go light, really light, and kind of blend it in. Fuzz it. I'm going to go back in here and just make sure everything looks pretty good. And then I'm going to come down here too. You can use your H pencils over the top of your B pencils. Like this 4H can go over the top of the 3B or whatever I used for down here, and it will blend, kind of smooth it out, make it look less grainy, and also make it a little darker. I need to make it a little darker in this spot from here over, because I did it to this side, but I don't think I did it to this side. So I'm going to take my pencil and shade here lightly. I'm going from the left to the right. This is the darkest part of the cave right here, and this is the lighter part of the dark part. Like that. And then I'm gonna, there's like a little wrap, like a little bit more of a dip. Looks like it fans down on this side too. So I'll do that. The puddle of dark comes down a little bit. Like that. And keep blending over here. All right. So I'm pretty much done with this area. I'm gonna work here and here on the sides of the nose, the wings of the nose, and then the bridge. I'm gonna work the bridge in there. This is my lightest gray along the bridge of the nose, and I need it to be darker. I need it to be darker here, and I need it to be darker here to make this look like it pops out. The nose bridge, or the nose ridge, if you think of it like that too. I need this to be darker on this side and this side, because that's where the cheeks happen. These are our cheeks. I should not be using a 3B. Let's go back to HB. Yeah, too late. Let's go to my B. That's better. So I don't want this line to exist anymore. This line that I made. So I need to shade to the right of it. I don't want this line to exist anymore. So I'm going to shade to the left of it. That's how you make lines disappear. Because again, lines don't exist. So I'm just going to speed up a little bit at this point so you can see me shading quicker on the sides of the nose. The wings of the nose. I can really define the edge of the wing by going back and forth right here especially. Because that's going to make that pop out a little bit more. I don't have to press hard to do that, I just have to go over it a bunch of times. This area right here, underneath this tip of the nose, is going to be darker. So these areas are light here, and it's darker here. So I've got to bump up my contrast a little bit right here. If I think I've made an area, the shade is too dark, so I feel that way right here. I think that this is a little too dark. So I'm gonna take my kneadable eraser. Kneadable erasers are like little sponges. Pick up just a little bit of that value without erasing all of it. It's magical. So just, you can take the kneadable eraser and break it up. Ooh, jeez, hello. You can smush it back into shape. I only have a little bit of my eraser. And if I press it down on that spot and lift it away, it just picked up that much of the graphite. And it also made it lighter. And I feel like that's closer to what I need it to be. So, success. Okay, kneadable erasers. Your best friend. So I'm going to speed this up, but basically what I'm doing is I'm paying attention to the bridge of the nose here. And I'm shading going out this direction. You need to take your pencil and you need to go like this. Okay? Slowly. You can't just go side to side and fill it in because that doesn't shape the nose. Think of it like a ski slope. You're skiing down the mountain like this. Down the mountain. Okay? And the same thing for the other side. And then, these are where the eyes are. That's the area is darker, naturally, up there. I'm gonna stop for a second. I know I said I'm gonna speed it up, but I do need to put my hand down on my drawing in a spot that is going to smudge. So, I need to take some scrap paper, and I need to put it down on the area that I don't want to smudge, because my hand's gonna be resting here on that area that's perfectly done, but now I need to go up here, okay? So I'm gonna put some paper down right there, and rest my hand on the paper so it doesn't smudge. Oops, I'm using a raw pencil. This is a B. No wonder. So I'm gonna go to my 4H. So that's basically creating the bridge of the nose. I'm gonna take a look and see if there's any areas that haven't been blended yet and fix those. I'm gonna put the eyes back into this so you can see. So you can see that this lady has eyes. So there she is. Hey! Now, as you can see, now that we have more information, your eyes are here and there, okay? So the nose bridge gets very dark in here, because that's where your eyes are inset farther, and so that creates a shadowy area. So if I were to indicate where that was, it's about right here, and then on this side it's about right here. Okay, so I would continue shading on either side of that bridge. And I would keep going a little bit, maybe bump up the contrast, make this just a little bit darker on either side. Blend in this light area on the nose a little bit more. That's basically your nose tutorial.